Good evening, everyone. Or I suppose it's only afternoon for once. It is August 15th, 2023, and we've just finished with our Tuesday session. And now, this is what I was looking at last night. I'd said that I wasn't convinced with the lows that we had had, and I was looking for a move down to new lows on the week, some sort of crap out to occur. Uh, and I was saying below 44.80, that's what I was looking for, and I wanted to see shorts hold the current overnight high, which was right around 315-ish, and open us up to new lows on the week. And that's what we had by the time we had our open. We had crapped out during the overnight, as you can see on both tickers. And then I was saying that today would likely be a short side day for me, just because it was a failure to gap up and a failure to accept that 44.85 balance point, and to me overall just a setup for a short day. So what I ended up doing was looking for 44.45 to trade. It did, I think, end up trading into the end of the day. I think our low of the day came in at something like 46 or something like that, 47. So a couple points off. That was where I was looking for, sub 44.45. On the NQ, I thought we'd actually be able to break these lows, but we were unable to do so. However, we were able to get down below this level over here, this kind of 139 spot, and apply some significant pressure, downward pressure, since the overnight. Trade-wise, I took a short on the NQ. Nothing really else for me. Now, what am I looking for going into tomorrow? Let's pull up some of these charts here. Let's go ahead and pull up this one first. I want to make note, let's get rid of the indicators here. We have lost this trend line here, this indicator momentum. We have lost this, so maybe a little bit of excess downward pressure to come. On the weekly, we have lost this trend line as well. We have gotten below this trend line as well. So overall, we are entering this lower balance. I'd written break for lower balance. So if we broke 64s, I was looking for this lower balance somewhere around, if we remove all of these, somewhere around like this, around 44.24. So that's what I'm looking for moving forward. Is can we now accept down to that 44.24 area, right at that level? So what I'm going to be looking for is in the next session or two, because we're not too far from it, in the next session or two, Wednesday or Thursday, can we get into this 44.10 to 30 area, establish a low month, and do this? Can we reclaim 44.39ish and start rotating back into last week's lows, getting into 4,500, etc.? We'll have established a low of the month. Can we start moving upwards? I wouldn't be surprised if we have some difficulty getting back above this zone here, this 44.84 level, this balance point we had. I wouldn't be surprised, especially after taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions to get below it. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with quite a bit of churn between about 4,400 to 4,500 before finally getting that move back up to about 44.50, 45.50. So that's how I'm looking at this thing on a little bit of a higher time frame outlook. Same thing with the Nasdaq. We've lost this high time frame yellow line here. You can see it's now acting as resistance. We've also lost this kind of 475-ish balance point where we had nice support, churned around it for several sessions, and now down below, as well as down below that 331 level. But that's been so important for so long. And you can see that we're now applying some significant downward pressure since last night, trying to hold these lows here. However, I think that'll break. I think we can get into somewhere around 14,900 for a low of the month. In terms of VWAP, yearly VWAP, here is your yearly VWAP. Perhaps I'll get rid of the drawings. Here is your yearly VWAP. We're coming into that first standard deviation, which has been support since March. And before then it was support early in the year as well. So overall, I think we're close to finding some sort of low of the month. I would be careful trying to continue to play this thing short. We've had oh god, something like 7 or 8 red sessions in a row on the ES. I think this thing's getting a little bit excessively. People are getting a little bit too short happy. I'll put it that way. So I think we're close to finding a low of the month, and instead we should start looking to play the long side. Uh, so on the ES, how am I looking to do that? Well, like I said, I'm looking for a low of the month above 4,400, so I'm looking to get long somewhere around there. So 44.24 after a tag of 19 is essentially wanting to see that prior low of the month get tagged. Above there, 32 and 38s. 32 being the what is 32s actually? Hold on, let me just scroll back on my screen here. Uh, just woke up from a nap, in case you can't tell. I'm not too sure what 32s are. I'll have to check this later, perhaps. I see. 32s are some sort of auction point of control that we had on July 10th. Anyway, above 32s, I'm looking at 38s. 38s being a weekly and daily point of control, as well as the 92% value area high from Q2, and there's a monthly value area low there at 36s. There's a daily VWAP close there around 37. So all of that sort of crap around 38 to 36 is an area of interest for me to get long. Above there, interest in taking 45s long, that being the prior week's -3 standard deviation of weekly VWAP, taking that long after I move down into this 38 area. Above there, I would consider taking 50 half long after a run of prior day's low before getting into this auction that we had. I said in today's Twitter post that I'd like to see tomorrow capped under 62 to 75, essentially looking at this as one big auction from today. So I would like to get long before we backtest that auction, although it may just end up happening in the Globex session. I would not be too surprised. Looking to get short, likewise, 65. 65s, two lines there by accident. 65, 69s, or 70 quarter. 69s being the settlement lows. 66s also the VWAP close from today. 65 simply the point of control. 70 quarter the 95% of prior week's value area low. So all important areas for me, the 65 to 70 zone. Above 72s, and I think it starts to begin to get difficult to stay short. The ADR high is coming in right around 81, so it's unlikely we surpass that. However, I think you're fighting momentum as we will have peaked below last week's low. We'll have reclaimed it. We will be above the weekly open, and I think you end up fighting some significant momentum. I don't know if this would break, but I wouldn't be too surprised if you end up filling up to, I don't know, '09 or something like that. So that's all I'm really interested in tomorrow, this sort of area. Uh, if you do start to ramp up, I don't really see the trade being to be short, or yeah, to be short. I think you're fighting some significant momentum. You'll have the shorts will have once again been squeezed. You can see it right here. There you go. So a couple. What is that? Three, 1 hourly close, 2 hour closes. One, two, three, three of them right on that 76 number. Uh, you know, I don't want to be. I don't think the move is to be short above that weekly open 72-ish. I want to see that balance hold at 64 to 82-ish. So that's what I'm looking for, is that rotation downwards into the low of the month, somewhere around here for tomorrow, and then maybe Thursday or Friday we reclaim this and start moving upwards. On the NQ, let's get into those daily trades as well. What am I looking for? Well, I think this thing has a ways to come down. Uh, there's a lot of spots I'd be interested in. However, primarily I'd be interested in getting short anywhere around here. Same thing as the ES. You've got some auctions, VWAP closes, points of controls, all that sorts of stuff is here. This is also the main area I've been interested in. These numbers corresponding to these lows over here. This is where I wanted to see short step on it, and that's where they did end up doing so today. And I want to see that continued pressure now downwards. Going back to this chart here, longs, I think the earliest you can get is 79s, maybe 69s or 63s or 48s. All of those kind of corresponding to roughly the weekly open, the 95% of last week's value area low, the last month's low, all that sort of stuff there below. And I think you end up flirting with settlement lows around 36s. So scrolling down, perhaps 36s hold. I just don't see it. I think we're in for some range expansion. I really think this area holds and you come down. Usually you make at least 150-point range day on the NQ. What was today? Today measured in at what, a couple hundred points, 185 points. So, if you did have this as a high, you're looking at a low, I don't know, somewhere around 15,000, maybe a bit lower. I would consider taking these guys long. This has not changed for many, many days. Below there, I'm looking at 929s, at 908s, and 899.5. 899.5, I believe, is the June monthly VWAP close. 929s being an auction point of control, if I recall correctly, and 908s being a daily 95% value area low as well as a key level. Below there, and I think you're starting to get into some knife catchy territory around 853s or 839s, that being a weekly low at 853s and a -3 standard deviation of last month's VWAP at 839s. So I think that's about the lowest you would want to be getting long. Again, zooming out, that would mean you're traded below this low of the month area and you're really getting into here, which, although would stay bid, I think that'd be quite a knife catch trade for a single day move. You'd be looking at something like a 350 point range on the day. So I don't think that's the move. I think the move is to try and find a long somewhere down to 866 and leave it at that. Oh, of course, 12 minutes. Why would it not be? Hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Have a great night, guys. Trade safe.